Welcome to the Mindfully Masculine podcast. This is Charles. Okay, so we're doing something a little different for this episode. Dan and I had a gap in our recording of about 4 or 5 weeks. And during that time, Dan was doing some traveling and I had some stuff going on as well. And we came back, and instead of jumping straight back into the 5 love languages for men, we decided to do one whole episode where we just kind of caught up on what we both got up to in our time away from each other. And this is that episode. So if you're only in it for the 5 love languages and the book review, then by all means skip this one. But if you'd like to hear us have a chat about his vacation and travels and what I got up to while he was gone, then please enjoy this episode. You can follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast app and also watch full episodes with video on YouTube. Thanks and enjoy.
Good morning, Charles. How are you?
I'm well, Dan. Thank you. How are you?
I am well.
Welcome back to America.
Thank you.
I wanted to have a quick catch up where we can talk about your trip. And yeah, I've been away for a minute too. It's been, I think around the 20th of May or something was last time we recorded. And now we're at the 28th of June. So it's been like 5 weeks since you and I sat down, and
Thank God for that buffer.
had good thing we taped quite a few of them in advance. So we got some stuff to catch up on, and I want to do that. But because some of our listeners think that all the time we spend talking about ourselves could be a little indulgent and go on a little too long, I'm going to split it into 2 episodes. So if you want to hear the catch up, if you want to hear Dan and I talk about what we've been up to, then just keep listening to this episode. And if you don't want to hear that, if you want to hear us jump straight into the next chapter of 5 love languages for men, then skip this episode and just go to the next one. And within the first couple minutes of that one, we'll jump into the material.
It's very kind of you to give them a heads up.
I think so too. Okay, so tell me all the countries that you visited.
New York. Oh, wait, that's not
All the countries.
It's all the countries, right? Yeah, actually from New York, I flew over to France, went to Paris on, what was it? Norse, not Norwegian. Replaced Norwegian.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah, I believe so. But the plane was brand new. It was beautiful. Regular economy was beautiful.
You said the food was pretty bad, right?
Food was pretty bad. Even for
I remember you specifically said I would hate it.
Yes.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, because if I think it's bad, you would hate it. You buy something in the snack shop or whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking I'll probably pack some. One of my favorites for hiking trips is like a buffalo chicken version of beef jerky, essentially.
Nice.
And yeah, that tends to travel pretty well. And so when I'm going on a long flight, I'll usually bring something like that of either barbecue or buffalo chicken flavored preserved.
One thing you will like, though, they had Coke Zero. So
I do like that.
Yeah, so that was instead of the Coke Light. So there was a difference over in Europe. There was Coke Light. That was
Diet Coke?
Nah, it's supposed to be a Diet Coke, but does not taste like Diet Coke.
Okay.
It's not that good, but they've changed it all to the
Diet
zero.
Coke's pretty nasty to me.
They changed it all from the Coke Light to the zero sugar. So a lot of the places that have Diet Coke, it's going to be the Coke Zero.
So some places in Europe just have Coke Zero.
Yes.
That's their only diet soda.
Yes.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yep. Yeah. Not all of them have diet anything. Not that you're going over there to follow a diet anyway.
True.
We certainly didn't.
But why drink my calories if I don't have to?
Yeah.
So that's
It definitely Norse, brand new planes, roomy, spacious, did not feel cramped even in the lowest price economy. And I think it was like $400 with taxes and everything else like that one way to Paris. It might have been even a little bit less.
I saw that Miami to Paris or Miami to London, Norse has like 101 way.
That's insane. Yeah, we had to fly first we took JetBlue to get to JFK.
Okay, gotcha.
We flew from there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many days did you spend in Paris?
It was 3 days. It was 3 days in Paris, and it was cold and rainy all 3 days.
In June or late May?
Yeah, it was not usual what they said for their weather, but we stayed at the Hotel Parister, which was like right in one of the rudiments, or I can't even pronounce, like the little zones within Paris, and it was right in one of the heart of Paris there, and beautiful, had little balconies and little grassy areas outside the rooms, and it was everything that you needed. My favorite thing probably was outside the room was a water dispensing machine, and they also had seltzer as one of the options. You could do hot, cold, or carbonated, and they give you a little bottle, like the plastic bottles we got here.
Yeah.
And you fill it up, and it was a glass carafe. Excuse me. It was fishmancy, yes. The food was fantastic, and all of the people that we ran into in Paris were extremely kind, extremely helpful. We got there, and we had a lot of bags, and one of the bags that was a suitcase, and my girlfriend's, all the important stuff, her money, her passport, everything was in one of these bags on top of the main suitcase bag. We come in, it was pouring rain out. We took 3 or 4 trips to get all the bags out of the cab into the hotel. One of the workers at the hotel grabbed her bag and put it to the side. And so then we came in and we're like looking around. She's asking us for the passport so we can check in. And we're looking around and we're like, wait a minute, we're missing a bag. And we freaked the F out. We thought we left it out on the street.
Oh boy.
We look outside, there's nothing on the street. And it's sitting right next to the worker who's checking us in.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, you want a cup of coffee? And we're like, okay. They're like, just calm down, relax, you're here. It was so calming. Another night, my girlfriend left her phone in an Uber, and Uber took off after dropping us off at the hotel. The girl at the front desk, Tasman, amazing. She was from Peru. She basically called the Uber for us, talked to the guy, and my girlfriend was freaking out a little bit, and I would be too, absolutely, if it was my phone. Every couple of minutes, she's like, how come he's not here yet? How come he's not here yet? And the girl at the front desk would call and talk to him and go, hey, where are you? What's going on?
Yeah.
Guy showed up with the phone, no problem, and we ended up taking him out for another ride that night. Again, friendly, happy. We wanted to give him a big tip. He's still.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was surprised because I came in with the impression that people in Paris, especially, not just but Paris especially,
right,
they were snooty. If you don't speak the language, they're snooty, and they're not at all. Not at all. They were all kind and welcoming. A lot of them were immigrants that we were dealing with. They weren't like native Parisians.
Yeah, they were like service workers.
Yeah. But at the same time, even the service workers that were, Parisians and the people that we ran into the streets, very kind and friendly, did not need to speak French much at all. We did the s'il vous plaît just to show the respect and say as much as we could, and we tried to order in French and things like that. And they appreciated and they were kind, and I loved it. And the food was not great in Paris. The main dishes were not good at a lot of the places that we went to. The pastry shops were amazing, though. Okay. The croissants, I've never had 2 better croissants than really in Paris. Just the buttery and the flakiness, and it was like chewy on the inside and like a little bit like crunchy on the outside. Yeah. It was just done perfectly.
The new Parisian bakery that I tried a couple weeks ago in Winter Garden, it was just like that, where it was super buttery and crispy on the outside, and then so soft.
It didn't need anything, but still smothered it with butter and everything else. And so the typical like food that we
for the entrees, what was it, like chicken dishes or beef?
It was like beef. Yeah, yep. And it was okay.
It didn't blow you away.
It didn't blow me away. No, definitely have had better food here.
Yeah.
But the pastries, man. And now, in all fairness, I don't do a lot of pastries here either. So there could be some wonderful pastry shops here in Orlando that I'm just not aware of. But according to...
atmosphere is part of it. Having a croissant baguette in Paris is going to feel different.
It was so funny because we'd be like walking somewhere and we'd pass a bakery and she'd be like, oh, we got to try this. We're going to try this. I'll be like, oh, all right, I'll try something. We'll split something. It was like 2 or 3 things.
Wow. And
I enjoyed it. It's that wasn't my default, but she just helped me remind myself that we're not here very often.
Right.
Not going to be here for a long time again. Let's take advantage of it. Let's really dive in, experience the vacation, and every calorie was absolutely worth it. So I enjoyed it. Yeah. Oh, okay. So we were there. We ran into a Palestinian protest actually so there's a big church, Montmartre, and on the top of a hill, beautiful. We walked up there, and there's a lot of walking. I didn't realize how many hills there were in Paris. Okay. So we burned a lot of the calories off doing that, and so it didn't feel quite as guilty. Walked up there, took some beautiful pictures.
You know how that math works. It's 2.5 hour walk to burn off one donut.
Who's doing math? On the walk up there, we went into a huge Palestinian protest, and apparently I didn't realize that the French are known for protesting. That's that's the recurring joke over there is what do Parisians do or what do French do as a hobby? They protest. Yeah, and the French Revolution, and they came over and helped us with our own revolution.
Great at winning wars, then protest.
Yeah.
When they were too fast.
So fortunately, it was friendly. We didn't run into any issues there. And then the last night we were there, I arranged for us to go to a French chef's house called from eatwith.com.
Oh.
And so you go to Eat With, and you can find in any city local chefs that basically host dinner parties for tourists.
Wow.
And what they do is they try to match you up with other English speakers. Not only do you get the chef's table experience,
yeah,
it's not that expensive. It was under $200 a person for going to this guy's house. He won Master Chef. I guess that's a TV show. And he won for his, oh my God, the little cookies. Macaroons. So I have some great pictures of that. Unbelievable macaroons. So he's actually from Vietnam and came to France, and his dinner for the night was a blend of Asian food fused with French cuisine.
Okay.
And it was good from a master chef. This stuff was good. It had a lot of flavor. It was unique for sure. Wasn't the best stuff I've ever had. But the macaroon was probably one of the best desserts I've ever had. And that's what he won Master Chef with.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about macaroons, so I don't even...
I wasn't either, dude.
Best mac...
If you go, and you get one from like a French pastry shop, or whatever. I was lukewarm on macaroons too until I tried some from over there.
Oh, okay, interesting.
There's a difference because it's like soft and chewy on the outside and just crispy enough to get that sweet. So I think... And those textures I know you like as well, so I think you would definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to me too, because I'm going to visit. I'll be in England briefly, probably long enough for one meal, and then Germany, Austria, Czech Republic, and then in Budapest for my last stop. I wonder if I get food there and I'm like, this isn't as good as the German food in Epcot. That'll be interesting.
It's possible. It's absolutely possible, especially if you go to one of these. We did go to a couple of high traffic tourist restaurants that regularly serve tourists, and I felt like the quality of the food kind of reflected that versus going to a local place that.
You think you feel like they were trying to turn over tables quicker? And okay,
a little bit. And one of the places in Paris that we did, where we got a bouillon kind of thing. Yeah. And that's where I wasn't really that impressed with the food. Yeah. Paris was great. From there, we went to the Eiffel Tower, of course. And
did you go to the top?
No,
okay.
Didn't really need to go to the top. We went to the second floor.
Yeah. Is that where the restaurant is? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. There might be a restaurant. There was a macaroon shop on the second floor.
I know one in Vegas, the restaurant, the fake Eiffel Tower in Vegas. The restaurant's not all the way at the top. It's about a third of the way up is where they have the restaurant.
Yeah, we didn't go. So
now maybe the big Eiffel Tower in Paris, they actually have a real restaurant.
I think there is. Yeah, we didn't go all the way up there, but we did a tour where you got a boat along the Seine River there, and then it dropped you off at the Eiffel Tower, and then you go up and we went.
Okay, got it.
And they did the whole thing, but watching it light up at night was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And there's basically a road that goes like a highway almost that goes right down to the middle of the Eiffel Tower.
I think I've seen a lot of pictures from there.
And people stand on the double yellow lines and to take the pictures, and cars are still going back and forth, whatever. And I don't know, something got in me and I'm like, let's go, let's do it. There's a couple people who were already on there. I wasn't like the first, I didn't break the ice, but there were a couple people already on the double yellow lines as cars were going back and forth. And I'm like, and Anna told me about, that's a famous picture. Come on, let's just go. And so we got a couple of great pictures in front of the Eiffel Tower. That was nice. I gave the cabbie. So we were running a little bit tight. We were trying to squeeze 5 pounds of crap into a 1 pound bag. You try to do all these things. And we missed the boat tour for the Eiffel Tower tour. So it was a boat and then Eiffel Tower tour. We missed the boat tour because I didn't really speak French, and the Polish guy who was the taxi driver didn't really speak English or French. And so there's a little miscommunication, and it was one of these guys who's like on a bike, and then you've got like a cart behind, and we just thought it'd be fun to do, and it was available, and it was right there. And this poor guy, I'm not a small guy, this poor guy was going up this, must have been a 45-degree hill for a mile, and he was working. He's like taking the jacket off, sweating, and he's working and working. I have a video of that, and we ended up in a spot that was nowhere near the boat, so we completely missed the whole tour. Trying to get in touch with the tour guides, and this is something that I appreciated about my girlfriend, was she was so aggressive with, we're still going to get we're going to get on that boat. We're going to find it somehow. We're going to find that tour guide. We're going to get our money back. We're going to go up to the Eiffel Tower. We're going to meet the tour guide for that, whatever. And she was very persistent. Like, she was calling them.
You appreciate it.
And I absolutely appreciate it, because I'd be like, fuck it.
Yeah, that's what I would be like.
Yeah, but it wasn't to the point of where it was like obnoxious. She was just like, come on, let's just call it. And she would do it herself. So she called the tour guide, and she was trying to arrange, and she managed to find the tour guide that was going to meet us to take us up to the Eiffel Tower after we missed the whole boat thing. And I definitely appreciated the tour for the Eiffel Tower, and we would have missed the whole thing. We probably wouldn't have been able to go to the second floor, because if you don't reserve that in advance, a lot of times there's a long wait. So I appreciated that. I saw her. I'm not going to let this go. I'm not going to just brush it aside type of thing. I'm going to try to get the most out of this experience, even though it was my mess up, because I basically told the guy to go to the wrong spot. That's something that I definitely appreciated about her. And I know that ties into the love languages there a little bit, but like acts of service is, for me, that's a big one. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the next episode too, because I re-listened to our episode that we released about, it was the one after you took the full online assessment, which I've done. I finally got around to doing now. And yeah, we'll talk about your acts of service and why I don't think that's your love language. Yeah.
Oh, I got to retake the quiz?
We'll talk about it in the next.
You think it's words of affirmation?
I don't know what it is, but
I don't know what it is.
But your justification and how you arrive at it being acts of service, I'd like to explore with you a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
So we'll get into that. Okay, so then after you're done with Paris, is that when you went to Vienna, or was it somewhere else in between?
Flew to Munich, because my family lives a little bit south of there near Salzburg, right, but on the German side. So they came, picked us up. Again, weather was not good. It was cold and rainy the whole time. So we wore like our gym clothes the entire time. We packed all this stylish stuff for Paris that we never got to wear. And so it was nice. I got to see my cousin, my aunt, my uncle. I haven't seen them in years. Got to get to know their kids a little bit. Went to a local Porsche museum and saw the brother of the original owner of Porsche was a huge train guy. And so like model trains. And they had rooms and rooms of these model trains, basically an unlimited budget. Could you imagine like the train sets you can build? I have some videos. It's unbelievable. Yeah. They've got like a mountain range. The rooms are like the size of filled with trains and with little guys and little towns and everything.
Yeah. And
they simulated nighttime and daylight with the sun coming up. And then so between the technology that we have today and the trains, it was beautiful. It was amazing. And the other thing, there's not a lot to do with the base of the Alps there. So they're known for their salt mines. And so they basically mine salt out of the Alps. And there's a whole tourist thing where you get dressed up like one of the old school salt miners from like the 1800s. And you ride a little train. Almost. You ride the train that takes you into the salt mine, and then there's a boat that you take. There's a salt lake that you go over in the mine. It's fascinating. It's really interesting, and it was good. You have the different tours in different languages. And you wear a little thing.
Oh yeah.
Back. And so as the guy's explaining in German, we're hearing it in English. Brought some gin and some salt back from Salzburgwerk. That's the name of the area there.
Does the salt taste any different, or is all salt pretty?
It's pretty much the same. You might be able to tell the difference. I don't have that sense of the palate to do that, but it's delicious. And they combine it with all different types of herbs and spices and things like that. So some of the salt they will specifically make for blending into like butter. So some garlic and onion with the salt, and you can melt the butter and you put the spices in there, and then you let it cool again. And then so now you've got built-in herb butter type of thing.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was good. We went to Salzburg, saw some castles and some palaces there, a lot of gardens. Ate a lot of food. Had some schnitzel and some knödels and dumplings. Yeah, it was good.
Nice. And then Vienna was next after that.
We took a train to Vienna, and that day or that night we had a Nickelback concert in the Stadthalle in Vienna, and that just happened to work out. We were going to be there anyway, and they put on an amazing show. So many songs that you don't realize are Nickelback, and they're really good. And they engage with the audience. They explain their songs. one of the best performances and best interactions with the crowd I've seen from any performer.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. The next day we did the whole tourist thing and went to Schönbrunn Palace and went to a lot of different spots in downtown Vienna.
Was the weather better in Vienna?
It was much better.
Okay.
I managed to eat at the same hot dog stand Luciano Pavarotti used to eat after he would perform at the Vienna Opera House.
He looked like a man who liked his hot dog.
Oh, yeah. They said 2 or 3. He'd sit there and polish those off. And those were not small. And, with the bread.
They're not ballpark.
No. They're at least footlongs, almost. They were saying that one of the opera performances, they were saying when a singer sings, he burns 5,000-6,000 calories in one evening.
Really?
Yeah, just from. I think they also wear a lot of clothing.
They do.
It's like they're sweating and they've got the lights on them. And you're exerting yourself with some of those voices. It's unbelievable. One of the things I mentioned to you too was they have this thing called the soccer torte. It's just a chocolate cake, and it's made from a famous hotel in downtown Vienna. And again, underwhelming. It's just been marketed really well. And they have that
at the original hotel, or
no, we did not. So we made reservations to go to the original hotel. We talked to the tour guide, and he said, "Look, it's not going to be any different than any of the other places. They all have them. They all have the soccer torte around all the same recipe, and it's all the same thing, and it's all not great.
Interesting.
It's just dry, and you're going to need some sauce with it or some milk with it because it's just really dry. And yeah, and it was like we had it. We got the small piece, but then we also had one that was like a carrot cake infused with cream cheese. Unbelievable. Everything else, all the other desserts were fantastic in Vienna.
I'll probably try it.
You feel like that's exactly why we did. Look, we're here. People are talking about it, but we agreed with them. We're like, all right, just get something else with it.
Yeah. One of the places I walked by on my many walks in Omaha when I went there was the hotel where they supposedly invented the Reuben sandwich.
Oh, all right.
I'm not a fan of Reuben, so I didn't bother.
Oh, I love Reuben.
I don't like Reuben.
Really?
Yeah, that's the one with the sauerkraut and the Russian dressing.
Yeah, and Swiss cheese.
Don't do sauerkraut.
Okay.
Yeah, not a fan.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, the coffees were amazing. Like I was mentioning, they're a little bit long.
There's a lot of dark roast in Europe.
Very dark roast.
I'm more of a mild roast guy, but you said you got flat whites.
Flat whites were.
I may have to lighten up the dark roast and the French roast or the Italian roast with a little bit of cream or something.
Yeah, Anna got cappuccinos. They were delicious, not too fluffy or sweet.
Gotcha.
They were great. Then from there, we flew to Yerevan, to Armenia. Excuse me.
And how long did you spend in Armenia?
About 11 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have no concept of what Armenia is even. Is it like a European country? Is it like a Middle Eastern country? Is it like a Mediterranean country? What is it like?
All of them together.
Yeah.
Yes, basically, it's an unbelievable fusion of culture from India, like an Arabic country, India, Asia, a lot of a Russian influence, and also Eastern and Western European. And between the food and the music, that's where you see all of those things blend together. And it's some of the best of all of them together. And the food was amazing. Didn't need to season anything. Everything that came out of the kitchen, a lot of sweet dishes.
The best food you had on the trip was Armenia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
100%, without a doubt.
Wow.
Is
that biased because your girlfriend's Armenian?
Nope. It really isn't. The varieties of food, the way things were seasoned. And what's nice is a lot of times when you go out to dinner, everything's family style. And so you get platters of
fry everything.
You get pickled vegetables, and then you get steamed vegetables, and then you've got meats, and then you've got dumplings, and then you've got soup, and then you can try a little bit of everything. And I love that for the whole tapas type of. And what's nice is the waiters actually go to school to become waiters, so they are professionals. And
you're not waiting on some other career to take on.
No, not even. And it's funny because they'll bring you out a bottle of water or seltzer, whatever it is, and if I insulted a waiter by actually serving myself and pouring it for myself. And I didn't realize that they come over and they are very attentive, usually for the most part. And you've got 3 or 4, and they're all like handling each other's tables, and it's done really well.
This meal that you're thinking of right now, like how many people did you eat with?
So it was just my girlfriend.
Oh, just 2 of you.
Yeah.
I got you.
But I mean, it's in a room full of. It's a huge restaurant. Most of these restaurants have shows where you pay a small fee, like maybe $3 or $4, to sit in an area where you can see the show.
Oh.
And the show, absolutely worth it. The talent they do. There's like fire breathers and acrobats and singers and musicians, and they're playing famous stuff from the U.S. local traditional Armenian songs, and the talent is unbelievable. And you pay like $3 to see, and the show is 2 or 3 hours long. And there's different performers come on, and sometimes it's a band, and then it's acrobatics, and it's very common for them at most places to do this, like on the weekends. And it's a whole ordeal. It's not like you go and you grab something to eat and you're done in a half hour at a restaurant.
Right.
That's common here kind of thing. It's you're going out for the night, you're at that place usually for 3 or 4 hours.
Was it too loud to have a conversation while it was going on?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
They have it figured out. At least in Yerevan, that's the capital city, that's where we were. All the cafes were like, they had a beautiful blend of modern, classy decor in the woods. So a lot of earth tones, but very modern, a lot of glass, a lot of Edison lights, like nice, warm, homey type of feel. And you're like in the woods surrounded by trees and bushes and flowers. And then you're getting this great service and this great food. And it really talk about the atmosphere, really. But I got to go back again.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that was really impressive was that a lot of times these cafes are right next to each other, and then they've got a communal playground area next to these cafes where parents can drop their kids off, and they've got workers from people who are employed by these cafes to watch your kids. They go and play. You can go and have your coffee, your ice cream, your drinks, and not worry about, your kids being bored sitting there watching you drink, and you don't have to worry about them causing a ruckus or whatever. And so I feel like when you go to these restaurants and cafes and you see the way the service is, the food is, like, they have it figured out. I feel like a lot of times when we go out and do things, there's always something, almost always, it was a good time, but there's always like one thing where you're like, this wasn't that great, or this was annoying, or whatever, and that didn't happen. That didn't happen over there.
Yeah.
And I wasn't drunk the whole time either.
Yeah, I remember last time we went to the crepe restaurant where they just completely forgot the dessert crepe that we ordered. We had to ask a second time. And like something like that. A little something like that always seems to go a little bit amiss when you eat out, which is not a big deal. It's nothing that I would knock a star off of the place for, but it is.
But it's just you get used to that right here.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's just not the case over there. And if there is a mistake, they go above and beyond to overcorrect for it.
Yeah.
Because it's very important to them for that hospitality. And that was the other thing, that the people were unbelievably kind, the complete strangers on the street. If you looked, a couple times we were looking a little bit confused, trying to find something. Complete strangers would come up and say, "Hey, do you need some help?" And in Armenian, and took their time and it was like 5 or 10 minutes. It wasn't like, oh yeah, it's around the corner kind of directions type of thing.
Wow, I would. Just with my experience and
it was unusual.
Go to New York so frequently, I was like, I feel weird if somebody
I did too. Right.
I'll figure it out. Why are you talking to me?
But that's just as I watched my girlfriend communicate with other people, she would openly ask complete strangers a lot of specific details that were not a quick answer. And it was one of those where I had a flashback of being a kid and my mom starting a conversation with one of the cashiers. I'm like, "Mom, what are you doing? What? You're bothering this person." Turns out they like talking. It was like a Publix cashier that we run into. They're always asking you about your day and what are you up to and stuff like that. And sometimes it's a little bit weird because it's a little bit too much. That it's just part of the culture, and that's just part of how they all want to be helpful and they're all kind. They have this gruff exterior, but once you ask them questions, they come around and it's incredible. And her apartment's in a really nice location. It's right down the street from where the president lives, actually. Yeah. And so there were protests. We're in Armenia against their own government, basically.
Oh.
And they blocked off the roads and stuff. And it is like a big city too. And so you need a cab to get anywhere. And the lines on the road are really a suggestion. They're not really, it's really the Wild West when it comes to driving. It's a little bit.
You guys were in a car? Or?
No, but it was intimidating enough to just sit in the back seat of a cab and watching them do what they do.
Yeah, renting a car in a foreign country does not appeal to me. I would much rather take mass transit or let's take Ubers and stuff.
It was really impressive to see a lot of the old Soviet era buildings were still around, and they were slowly transitioning, and they're slowly getting rid of a lot of the monuments, the statues, and a lot of the Soviet names because Russia has not been supporting them as much as they've been promising. So recently, Armenia lost a lot of land to Azerbaijan. They came in, they took it, they're getting all their arms from Turkey. Those are both Muslim countries. Armenia is a Christian country, the only one in the area. So they're getting squeezed out. Russia has promised, and Armenia was paying Russia a fee for protection. Russia didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, like the dry cleaner paying the mob to...
Yeah, but the mob didn't show up. And so, yeah, a whole bunch of people. So there have been a lot of genocide in Armenia, and it's really sad, hearing some of that. And there's a lot in Armenia where they incorporate a lot of culture from Russia, the language and the leaders and the people and stuff. And they've just really been let down because they've not held up their end of the bargain. So they're slowly moving away. And again, when there wasn't a lot of money and they were poor, these buildings were built. And so these were not high quality buildings anyway. But what's amazing is they're replacing with absolutely beautiful, breathtaking stuff. A lot of it looks like it's from Western Europe. It's like beautiful.
Gotcha.
And but everybody was just super kind, and it's very centered around food too. Every time you go to somebody's house, you bring food and they've got food there. And so now you're eating and you're drinking for hours, and then that's just right before you go and eat and drink somewhere else. I really enjoyed it.
What were the people in Vienna like? Were they very friendly there too? Because I hear they're a little on the cold side. They don't have the reputation of being rude like some of the people that they talk about in France, but they're kind of like...
Yeah.
Side.
You got to remember they're German, or there's a lot of German culture there. And so that's...
Yeah, I've heard they're like German and then some.
Yeah. And my experience, I'm going to stereotype, is the Germans, they are very warm and kind and friendly once they open up to you. Right. Initially, they've got that gruff exterior. But my family is definitely the same way, that once they get to know you, they will bend over backwards and they're just loving and kind. Did not run into a lot. We were only in Vienna like a day and a half.
Okay.
I can't really give you a good answer on that, what a typical person is, for a Viennese person, how they treat people. But the tour guide was he was very kind. He was from Austria, and he mentioned on the tour that they are really just now, over the last couple of years, admitting their role in World War II and how involved they were.
Gotcha.
And they were in denial right afterwards when Germany was getting in a lot of trouble afterwards and stuff like that with the trials and stuff. And Austria was like, deny. But meanwhile, they were very supportive of the whole Nazi movement.
Yeah.
So they're finally...
And Hitler was Austrian, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he through a lot of the history there, and just that it's hard for them, but they're finally like admitting to their role and stuff like that. And I don't think there's really as many consequences now. So easier to come about, but...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if I'll get to hear some of that on the tour I'm going on. Probably.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure that
All right. I'm glad you got back safely. Had a little bit of cold and a little bit of jet lag, right?
I did. And then for Valentine's Day, my girl got me tickets to the Blink-182 concert in Orlando, and that was on the 21st. That was like a couple days after we got back. It was a little bit tough. I was already starting to get sick at that point. We spent 48 hours without sleeping, trying to clean the apartment and get everything ready for her renter for the next year. And then we had 24 hours of with layovers and everything else.
Yeah.
Didn't sleep well. Came home, got some strep throat, sucked it up, went to the Blink-182 concert, and it was good. It wasn't great. It was like 4 or 5 songs that everybody knows, and then that's
it. To cover shows. The cover shows better.
No, they were worse. They were terrible. They were terrible. Like even the famous songs, they couldn't pull off. Yeah, that was just the nature.
Yeah, Brian, the lead singer, is Brian, right?
I'm not sure.
Is it Brian or Todd? I forget what the lead singer's name is, but he's got a very distinctive voice.
Yes,
so I would think that.
It was the music. It wasn't the voice. Like they were actually able to pull off the voice in the cover band.
Oh, quality of the instruments.
But Travis Barker is unbelievable drummer.
Yeah.
I had no idea watching him go. Like he went for like almost 2 hours straight, and it was just like he was drenched in sweat. But he was unbelievable. No wonder he's married to the Kardashians.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's married to
who's also Armenian.
So
yeah. Oh, so apparently there was a big, Kanye was in Armenia when he was with Kim, and he had a concert in this, like over this lake or whatever.
Okay.
And it was like a last minute announcement, and in the middle of Yerevan, And the way she made it sound in the videos I saw, it looked like there was this monster lake, Lake Monroe here. It was like the small little pond. Might have been able to get, 2,000 people around this whole little area, whatever. And yeah, Kanye was apparently, he got crazy and he jumped in the lake. So that's why it was so crazy. But yeah, System of a Down, didn't realize they were Armenian as well. They're unbelievably talented.
They're Albanian for some reason. They're Armenian?
They're Armenian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they go nuts for that music.
Yeah.
And I was asking, like, when the Kardashians come to Armenia, like how, and they said, they're very generous and they do a lot of like charity work and things like that, which is nice because Armenia needs some help. Because people are just taking their land and nothing's really being done. America doesn't want to do anything because we have our bases in Turkey, and Turkey is the one who's giving all the arms to Azerbaijan, who are then taking the land, and then Russia they're busy. They're busy. They got their own shit to take care of, right? So and the thing is, there aren't like a lot of natural resources in Armenia, so it's not like really something people want to protect. So it's just more of, I think, a religious type of and cultural type of encroachment. Unfortunately. Yeah. And I bought the candy is great. And then some of the chocolate candy, you need to try some of that.
Yeah.
I got fat on that for sure.
Next time I'm at your place and I'm going to be driving directly home, I will definitely take some of that candy with.
Let it go to room temperature, otherwise you're not going to get the full flavor.
Yeah.
I tried to pick out some of the peanut butter ones for you, and there's one that's like a Butterfinger, but made out of, instead of peanut butter, it's hazelnut.
Oh, that does.
Yeah, it's like that flaky. Yeah. So I tried to pick a couple of those for you.
I'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. So I didn't have much going on while you were gone. Nothing too exciting. I did, I guess a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I got my hair cut and I broke my unbreakable rule where I went to a Sport Clips and I took next available. And next available was a young man. And what do I say about getting your hair cut by a young man?
Oh, you better like his style.
You better like his style, because regardless of what you ask for, he's going to give you what he wants to give you. And
Pete Rose?
He went.
Remember that? Because there was a comedian back in the 80s that would basically make fun of, it's like the Dorothy haircut.
There was a reference to that in 30 Rock.
Yeah, it was a comedian who kept making fun of, a barber, and all he knew how to do was, saying that all Asian people. That's what it was. That's right. They come in as the only thing that Pete Rose? Yeah.
It's funny. I told this guy what I wanted, and even though
Where was this Sport Clips? Was this down in
Bradenton? Yeah, where I'm going to be moving.
Okay.
So I will just never go back to that location again, because I don't want to risk. Yeah. I don't want to go there and not choose him.
So was there an emergency? Why did you get next available? Why did you go to a Sport Clips? You've got your regular.
I had a meeting afterward that I was going to go to, and so I needed to squeeze in a haircut, then dinner, then a meeting. And so I was like, and everybody else there was a long wait time, except for first available was 0 minutes. So I was like, okay, well, here I am. So
see what I got.
Going to a young guy for a haircut is fine. If you're of the opinion of, hey, whatever the cool trend is, whatever's popular, whatever, I trust that he'll know what should be done with my hair more than I do, then by all means, go to a young man. But if you have a specific idea of what you want in your haircut, you go to a woman or you go to an older guy. Those are your two choices.
Have you had it cut since then?
No, not yet.
It doesn't look terrible.
It doesn't look terrible, but he went. I've been wearing it for the last couple of months, where I like a contrast where the top is a little longer and combed over.
Yeah, it's all one.
It all looks like he used a 1.5 on the whole hair. On the whole head. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did not follow my instruction at all. So it'll grow out and it'll look like it normally does in a couple more weeks. But yeah, let's see what else is going on. Oh, you and me are all booked for Tony Robbins in November, which I'm excited about. Yeah, going up to New Jersey. Not quite as excited about that part of it, but he didn't have one available for our budgets in Fiji, so Newark it is.
Maybe Fiji's next.
Oh, you texted me the hotel. I think you said it was like $972 for. Is that each of our halves, or is that the whole thing?
It's the whole thing.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
I thought
I would do that.
I thought Homewood Suites for $1,000 a piece.
No,
a little expensive.
That's the total with tax.
4 or 5 nights, right?
Five nights.
Yeah.
I got the 13th through the 18th.
And we're at we're near the airport, right?
Yes.
Is that do we Uber to downtown, or is it?
We're gonna.
Is the public transport good?
I think we have to Uber. Yeah, I think it's like 11, 12 minutes.
That's not too bad. This allergy season right now is killing me. I was at one of my clients and sniffling and sneezing. And, the receptionist was like, here, take a 24-hour Claritin. And it fixed me up immediately. So the whole time I've been telling myself I should really stop by Walgreens or CVS and get some Claritin. I just haven't.
I got some Zyrtec if you want to try that.
I tried Zyrtec.
Any good?
I tried Claritin, and I tried, what's the other? There's another 24-hour. And I've tried all three of them within the last week, and it is Claritin that really seems to do it for me.
Yep.
So I will, I don't want to sniffle the whole way all day tomorrow while we're moving. I don't want to be sniffling.
No.
So I will definitely buy some Claritin on the way down, because I don't know what's in season or in bloom right now, but whatever it is killing me.
Have you ever messed around with a neti pot?
No, Erin, my ex-wife, did, and I can't do it.
Okay.
Just watching the process, I was like, that is not something I can do.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have it in me.
It does definitely helps for a couple of hours afterwards because the salt just cleans everything.
Ugh.
There. It's once you do it a couple times, it's not that big of a deal. But it really helped when I was sick like last week.
It's just one of those things in concept. That was the way I used to feel about injecting myself before I got on TRT.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I could never do that. And then I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
The advantages outweigh my discomfort, so I'm going to try it, but I'm not there with a neti pot yet.
Yeah, it definitely helps with the sniffling and everything else like that, and the runny nose and stuff. It dries things out a little bit naturally. And it's nice.
That does sound nice.
Yeah.
But I can do it. All right, let's see what else is going on. Oh, one of the things I did want to talk about is some guys on the internet came up with a response to the man versus bear thing. Do you remember that?
Yeah. More new responses. Okay.
Yeah, the new response was, would you rather share your feelings with a woman or a tree? And they used the same, and then basically when women would respond to it and say how stupid it was, they would then use the same argument as, see, your very response to this is exactly why I would rather share my feelings with a tree. The way that you're reacting about this proves me, which is what a lot of the women were saying, with the way the guys were reacting to the man.
So they set the bear trap and they walked right into it. Yeah.
A couple of notable differences that occurred to me, which is one, the first one was about if you're hiking in the woods and you randomly, beyond your control, run into A or B, what would you rather? Where choosing to share your feelings with a tree or a woman is not the same thing, because it's about a choice that you're making, not about something that's randomly happening.
For a man, sharing his feelings is just about as painful as a woman running into a bear.
Or a woman running into a man.
Okay, all right. I didn't want to go there, but yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm probably a little bit biased in my approach to this, but when you as a man choose to share your feelings with an unsafe woman because you're bad at picking partners, I have less sympathy for you or empathy for you than when you as a woman randomly bump into a bear or a bad guy or just an unknown guy in the woods. You're a man who's constantly complaining that women are not safe for you to share your feelings with, then stop picking unsafe women and you'll address that issue real fast.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't think that's the issue that a lot of guys run into as to why they're not sharing their feelings. I don't have a safe woman. It's just not something that I think a lot of us are common, or used to do it.
Yeah, and so you're probably not practiced at it. So when you attempt to do it, you probably don't know.
Oh, correct. So funny. We're just talking about languages, learning another language. I feel like when a guy would try to, and I know perfect example right now is I'm stumbling over my words, right? You don't know exactly how to express yourself with their feelings, and you can feel like coming across like a child or somebody who's just a lot educated than you might be in other areas of your life, and that can make you feel insecure, and then you don't want to share because you don't know how to do it exactly the right way,
right? Or
sound like you want to sound.
Yeah, and as
give the impression
you will often come across as either passive or aggressive or passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Like we talked about an episode a couple weeks ago of the idea when you are trying to give words of affirmation and you're nervous about it, so you hedge it, like if it doesn't go well, you can say, "Oh, I was just kidding," or something like that. It's when you do that, when you try to hedge your bets and keep yourself safe, it usually comes off cringy.
Yeah, you can't pull the punches.
Yeah. But I thought that was funny that guys felt like they had to clap back at the man versus bear thing, which even the fact that it's like, oh no, now we have a version of this for ourselves too. Okay, that doesn't feel super masculine to me.
Yeah.
the way women responded to this hypothetical hurt my feelings. So now I have to come up with a version that hurts theirs.
So have you see on Netflix, they've got I'm a Stalker. Have you seen this series?
I'm not.
Basically, it's really good in-depth docuseries on people who are stalkers and have been usually arrested for stalking.
Do they talk about it?
Oh, yeah. So the people are at various, it's interesting because the victims and the perpetrators are all at various stages. So they go through a number of different pairings of stalky type of thing in different situations. And yeah, man, some of the stuff that these guys like even admit, they've got evidence of text messages and letters, and this one woman had made a voodoo doll of this other woman, and it's not all men stalking women. There are some women stalking women. There's some women stalking men.
Yeah.
There's a lot of a variety, but by far most of and they run through some statistics, but by far it's mostly men stalking women. And yeah, it totally lines up with why so many women would rather run into a bear than a man.
Yeah.
Because just these guys, it's such I don't want to say it's a slippery slope, but these guys just don't get it. It's funny because once they did something where it was a little bit over the line, the woman would want to stop talking to them and wouldn't answer their messages anymore. And that's what they would drive them nuts. I'm trying to apologize to you. And they would be like sending 50 texts a day or stopping by where they work or their school, where they're going to school, whatever. And it's, why don't you want to talk to me? I just want to apologize for everything. And it's just, it's so inconsistent, like their behavior and the attitude that they're coming across and what they're saying.
Right.
And there's such a misalignment. Now, yeah, all these people have had traumas in their own lives.
Sure.
Didn't have normal childhoods growing up and things like that. So not that it's an excuse, more of the reason.
No, it definitely helps to understand.
Just don't understand like some social cues and things. And it's just, but they would ignore, what's amazing to me is they all had restraining orders and they all ignored them multiple times.
Yeah, there are some safety and security experts who have really come out to say that getting a restraining order against stalkers is not always the best.
At the time,
sometimes it
lit them up. It made them more angry.
And
and even some of the people who were in jail for stalking were saying things like, I'm not a stalker. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
And anybody could be a stalker if given the right circumstances. And these people need some mental health help.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
And not all of them get it, unfortunately.
And it really all seems to come from the same place, which is a mindset of scarcity. I felt something with this person or this woman that felt a little like a connection, and connection's so rare in my life. It's, being struck by lightning. And so the fact that it happened once, I can't let go of this person because it's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
And so,
they get this tunnel vision.
Yeah. If you go into any relationship and you feel like, this could be my one chance for love, sex, happiness, a future, a family, whatever, and then the person's, I'm not into this anymore, then the one thing that could possibly change their mind is you being respectful and confident and saying, okay, if you change your mind, let me know, is the one thing they can't do, because
now a lot of times they haven't seen that, so they haven't seen examples of that confidence. So it's just like that's a foreign concept.
Yeah, because I would suspect a lot of the guys that are stalkers are probably raised by single moms, and they don't see any healthy romantic relationships.
Yeah, a couple people were,
or any resilient men who are able to deal with rejection and setbacks.
One girl went from foster home to foster home where she was abused. She didn't have a real parent as a role model, and they just don't have that skill set.
Yeah, I started a new book recently that I'm really getting a lot out of. Adult children of emotionally immature parents. I think it may have been on my radar for a while, but I just started listening to it on Audible when Audible finally sends me that, hey, you have 6 credits. You might need to start spending some of these.
Shopping spree.
Yeah, and so I got that one. And yeah, man, when they talk about the characteristics of emotionally immature adults, it's, wow, I have a lot of these myself. Not as many as my parents, thank God. I do have a lot of them myself.
Yeah.
It's, and she does get a little bit into and here's how you fix some of this stuff.
Oh, great.
It's a rough system to live by default, where you're just constantly in this reactive mode and not able. One of the things I found really interesting, emotionally immature parents usually do a great job of meeting their kids' physical needs. So they're going to be They're going to be healthy. They're going to be well dressed. They're going to be taken care of. But their emotional needs, which are more abstract, are the ones that they can't figure out how to meet those. It's very clear that your kid is well fed. It's very clear that your kid goes to the doctor when they're sick. It's very clear that your kid shows up to school with clean ironed clothing. But the more sort of abstract stuff of, does my kid understand that if they're upset and they start crying, I don't need to say, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. I just let my kid, like a lot of kids of these immature parents never get the chance to understand, oh, if I'm feeling sad and I cry, eventually I will cry it out and I'll feel better on my own. But if that process constantly gets interrupted by your parents saying, no, I can't tolerate these negative feelings, you have to stop right now, then you never get to the end to realize, oh, I can soothe myself. If I feel bad for long enough, eventually the feeling bad goes away and now I'm okay again.
Yeah, you're taught something different.
Yeah. So when parents insist on interrupting that process because they're uncomfortable with their kid being sad or upset or whatever, then the kid never develops that skill.
That was my mom's favorite line. And because a lot of times I really wasn't crying about something, or my sister wasn't crying about something that we needed to cry about. She could tell that it was bull crap. It was like, oh, you didn't get your food, or you didn't.
Is it ever really bull crap though?
Because you don't get a dessert that you wanted, or you didn't.
Feeling is still real. You're still expressing something that's inside you.
Yeah, but it's
if you're performing, then why do you feel like you need to perform by crying to somebody? There's something real there.
There might have been, but looking back on it, I knew whenever I was given that line, it was I was trying to manipulate my mom in some way to get what I wanted, and it wasn't like I was really upset about something. And it wasn't, my sister wasn't really upset about something. It was like one of those where it's like perpetual whining or whatever. And there might have been a little bit something real there, but for the most part, from my memory, from my side of things, it was what are all the tools in my limited toolbox to be able to get what I want? And it ended up being like something. And it wasn't like I got hurt and I'm like physically hurt and I'm like heaving or whatever. It was like it was a mild cry. It wasn't like I really got injured.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I still think there's value in the curiosity of saying, okay, so Dan's having a little bit of a meltdown because he didn't get 2 servings of dessert. Why does Dan feel like he needs to try to manipulate me to get a second dessert? Like what is behind?
Yeah.
Where's this coming from?
That would be, yeah, I think.
I would say it's easy to do that.
No, yeah.
As a parent. But you know, especially when it seems crystal clear that's what's going on. But to ask the question, okay, that I know what this looks like, I know what this feels like, but
because the finger could be pointed, the finger could be coming back at the parent, going, "Oh, wait a minute, I've been overindulging all of their unhealthy food habits," and so now their expectation is, "Hey, I'm getting more and more dessert, whatever, or I'm getting a lot of dessert at every meal." But that's my fault because I let them have that from the for weeks or months or whatever, right?
Reasons,
whatever that is. But
I would say, I think,
or not clear communication about what dessert's going to look like. That's my fault. I didn't clearly communicate like that. You're not getting 3 pieces of cake.
Yeah, or sitting down and say, "Hey, look, Dan, I get why you're upset. Sometimes I want 3 pieces of cake too, but we just don't eat 3 pieces of cake sometimes."
I was lucky because I got some of that too once in a while.
Yeah.
I did get that from both parents. And I do feel lucky because I know that's not common. So I did get a lot of that as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. But I would say, generally, whatever reaction a kid has, there's a reason that they have that reaction. And chalking it up to, oh, they're a bad kid or they're a manipulator or they're whiny or whatever. The but why seems to be the question that healthy people consistently ask.
Yeah. I'm absolutely grateful for my parents because a lot of times whenever there was a big fight or a blowout between my parent and I, the initial, we were both upset, yelling, crying, whatever. I go to my room, we sent to my room, and then usually within a few minutes afterwards, they'd come and sit next to me very calmly and explain and logical and say, "Hey, listen, this is what's appropriate. This is why this happened." And a lot of times they would apologize for losing their cool too. And I didn't really appreciate it at the time. I'm looking back now, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of parents that will just never apologize to their kids. They think it something about that causes the power dynamic to be compromised in some way that they're not okay with.
But the funny thing is, if anything, I think it gives them more power because then you respect them and you realize that they are okay.
Tell you the truth.
They'll tell you the truth, and you don't look at them as I won't say like a liar, but basically what's completely obvious, like they made a mistake here, whatever might be completely obvious to you, they'll never admit it. Now I feel like,
You have to think I'm perfect, but I know you're not. Yeah.
And so now it's, all right, you're almost delusional. And so now I feel like I know I got one over on you, as I see what reality is and you're not living in reality. So now my opinion of you has gone down versus you going, hey, look, I've got a good grasp on reality. I'm not living in my own world here.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been a good book so far. I think I have another 4 hours done with it, but I'm really getting a lot out of it. Okay. So we've been going at it for about an hour. So we'll stop and we'll roll on into chapter 7 of the 5 Love Languages for Men and talk about, I think we've covered all the individual languages at this point. So now we're going to get into a little of the, how do you figure out what yours is and how do you know that you're right about yours? How do you know that you're right about your partners? And what do you do about it? So
sounds good.
All right, we'll hit that next. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Wow, you made it through the whole thing, so you must like us at least a little bit, in which case you should definitely follow or subscribe to our show in your chosen podcast app. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time.